Hey guys, it's Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be helping one of our members find their personality type. Kyra, you do not have to go into anything you're not comfortable with. We are going to be listening to you. This is your show, and whatever you do say or whatever you don't say, we'll be using to triangulate down on your best fit type. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Kyra. I recently joined the Mongolian Mindset server about, let's see, probably 2 months ago. I was invited.
Oh, you're
I've been,
Kyra that's been in our fucking. Oh my God. Damn, I didn't even notice. Oh shit, okay. This is
oh
interesting.
yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't expect people to remember, I guess.
I'm bad with names and like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm a bit
Yeah,
terrible.
no, it's not. I'm not offended, but I thought you would know, but I guess not. I don't really know
I'm a
how
fucking idiot.
things work. But yeah, I've been in the server for like 2 months. Been in the typology Discord community for um, probably 3 years, 4 years. No, 3 years. Yeah, I would say. Let's see. It's been interesting. Had people type me a variety of things.
Don't tell us.
Probably. I'm not going to tell you what they type me as. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
but yeah.
We
So.
compare and contrast at the end. That'd be wonderful. So like how's life?
Hmm. Life's interesting. But it's very vast in how and the type of experiences that I guess you can have in life. And somewhat a lot of the times life is sort of like a reflection of the output that you put out there. There's almost like some sort of cybernetic feedback going on where the outputs you put out there are also inputs. So that's kind of interesting in that way. And that kind of is generalized to how you actually interact with people and also just um, perhaps some people with more spiritualistic sort of tendencies would say just the energy you put out there, and then some other source of energy or a way of like transducing that energy you put out there converts it into something else, and it comes back to you in some other form, and then you process that, and it's just like ongoing. So that's sort of how I see the relation of life. But a lot of the times, external things are also building what you
Shelly,
become,
I'm too
nurtural
good.
sort of information. Huh?
I'm too good, Shelly. I'm just too good at this point.
Yeah, you
I'm
start
too good.
talking and yeah.
I told you guys, man, I go to bars and I'm like typing people and I'm like money, man. I'm money. When I tell y'all I'm money, I'm money. Just
Yeah, for me, it's like I can sort of get an idea of what people types are, but it's like I end up being like second guessing. I'm like, well, it could be this maybe. So sometimes it's hard for me to like um, because I can interpret things in um,
many
a
different
lot of
ways.
different ways, and it's sometimes that's actually bad a lot of the times because it's like that open-mindedness is an issue sometimes. I do think people have closed-mindedness has sort of colloquially been associated with some sort of negative behavior, but I do think closed-mindedness has its benefits, right? It's like because with that you have some sense of direction of where you're going because you're closing off options, you're converging on what is most likely. You're just
It's NI.
completely open-minded. You're just like,
Yeah. It's NI
it could be
versus,
this, it could be this. You don't know where you're going at that
it's
point.
NI versus
So
NE.
I would say
Yeah.
so, yeah.
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 I don't know, just me personally, like my brain just works a way to like once I get it, I get it. And then once I
Mhm.
get it, like I'm like tuned in and I'm fine tuning like a piece here, a piece there. And I just when I get it, and I'm going to use it. There's no way I'm not going to use it. Like as soon as I read something in a book, I want to use it. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna get that mastery. And once I get that mastery, I become a scary person. If you ever see like me personally as a person, if you ever see me being very analytical, then that means you potentially got me. If you ever see me like being braggadocious or something, that means that skill has been very refined. So if,
Mhm.
yeah, if I'm ever like very focused or whatever, then that means oh shit, like he's probably scared that he may make a mistake here. But if I'm like bragging or something, there's absolutely no way I'm gonna like this. It's not gonna happen. Um,
Yeah, for me, it's like, Um, I don't know. I'm not trying to say what I think I am, but it's like usually the process of sort of piecing something together. It's like I'm trying to piece together all of like various fields and seeing how it all connects. Like if I'm pursuing some sort of cosmological like theory or something, like how that may be generalized to psychology and sort of what I was talking about, like cybernetic feedback, like the sort of subject and object relationship is there too. It's like, and you can also go down that how an asteroid reacts to like a planet. It's kind of weird. So that sort of metaphysical awareness, I think, is very interesting to me. So,
How long have you been into the metaphysical awareness and stuff like that?
um,
Can you give me
hmm.
your earliest date that you can recall?
I mean, with these sort of things, like it's sort of ongoing. Like I think everyone has ideas of like, but just like metaphysical awareness. But I guess what you're asking is when I sort of intentionally started to pursue these ideas and seeing, um, I guess how accurate or how valid they may be, or how. But so I guess with that, perhaps I don't know, maybe 10 years or something like that. So.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's hard
Okay.
to kind of say.
Have you ever had any issues with authority?
Yeah, I've went to school and stuff. I was a music major and but usually I had issues with authority only when I assessed that the authority that they were imposing on other people was like unfounded. And with music, it was like if I assessed that like their skills weren't up to like what I perceive as being like high quality or whatever.
Competent?
Like so
Competent? Would you say?
competent, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I was very picky about that. So I also think it was like I was biased against authority at that point. So it's like, why am I picking apart this one mistake this professor did there, or like this they weren't that aware of this regarding performance, this interpretive mistake or something. But at that point, you're kind of dealing with a lot of qualitative information. It's not necessarily going to be uh, the same between subjects. So it's like I was kind of just being an asshole at that point. So I don't know. um,
Okay. How do you learn something new? How do you go about learning something new?
let's see. It sometimes kind of depends on what it is. Like if it's more like a more physical sort of thing, like an instrument, that's probably the main thing I would do. Like that's probably more physically oriented and not necessarily reliant too much on like um playing with sort of like hypothetical ideas or not necessarily ideas that are directly connecting with the external or the physical. But like with that, but overall, I would say I do approach it I try to figure out what are the main essential ideas and how those essential ideas necessitate or justify other ideas. And like, so if I'm looking at like a theory, I would be like, okay, the main thesis of idea is this. Why does this lead to this other justification? And is it actually necessary? So, and I try to piece things together like structurally or formally. Sometimes I think about imagery and try to like piece together like images of how this thing may be operating and then sort of work from there. Like sometimes it may take a while because especially if the theory is like really convoluted and people are just like adding a bunch of ideas and sometimes it's hard to sift through and see um, if an idea is actually um, justified or necessary. So I kind of do that. But if I were to take another, there's a difference though. Like with instruments, I would say I try to work on like honing on like proper technique. because with instruments, if you're kind of going about it with bad technique, that's not necessarily entirely sustainable. A lot of things could happen. You could get an injury. You could run through roadblocks that you could have avoided by learning some complicated piece. Um, so yeah, with music, it's more like a practice and theory synergizing of those two. But
Can,
yeah.
can you describe yourself as a kid?
Okay. Let's see. A lot of people said as a kid, especially before like um high school, I was very like well behaved. I did my homework and stuff like that, did well in school. Um, a lot of teachers seemed to like me for whatever reason. I guess it's just because I was quiet and didn't cause any issues. And I did my work. But um, but I was also uh I would say I was kind of driven in that way, but like it wasn't until I started getting more involved in other things, like in high school, like music, that was like, okay, I can see myself doing something with music. But so that sort of happened. But I was in high school, I've always been very, really, really shy. I had a stuttering problem in high school. Like I didn't really necessarily had issues with like communicating, I think, sometimes. Um, so had some sort of like negative or perhaps worry, maybe anxiety about how other people may respond to me, like um, what they may, how they may judge me or whatever, perhaps. Um, High school, I started being a little more open. Like I would do silly things sometimes, like joke around or like sometimes that would happen a bit too much. And some of my friends would be like, okay, you need to calm down with that. But they wouldn't explicitly tell me that. They would just be like, stop being as responsive. That didn't happen that often, but um, so around that time, late middle school, early high school, I started like checking out of high school. Like I didn't really fail or anything or get really bad grades or anything kind of lower than like low B or C. But I didn't really study at all during then, is because the way school was sort of um, functioning at that time, prioritizing memorization over understanding, I guess, is one of the consistent issues I saw in my school system. So that's kind of overall how things were, but
What are some behaviors that make
oh,
you feel angry?
um, hmm. Behaviors that make me feel angry. Um, let's see. It's really weird because like with people, like they may do something that angers me, like in the moment, but I tend to kind of forgive pretty easily. So it's like a day after I'll be like, that's all right. We all have our our flaws or whatever. And even then I'm just perceiving what those flaws are. It's like, who's to say if I'm correct in that? Um, but I would say probably um, unjustified dogmatism, probably like where someone believe is really they're believing something that something is a case and they're immovable with that belief, but also the belief is coming from a motivated place or something like perhaps for example, a place of hate or something. Like I sometimes seen that in Discord. I usually would just kind of move away from those people. But yeah. But maybe it's because I'm more open. Like I'm like, well, it could be this, it could be that. And when I see that, I'm like, oh gosh. But it's not even like I hate people that are more certain than I am. It's like, if it's unjustified and I actually go through and read or something, or am aware of where their belief or line of reasoning came from, then that's kind of irritating. But also sometimes it becomes funny. That's like they don't know. Should I tell them? I don't know.
Okay,
How do you feel
what is
when you get
something
angry?
that triggers you? What's something that triggers you? Easily, quick, fast, hurry.
Let's see.
Like
Um,
if somebody does it for some reason, it just comes out of you.
that's kind of hard to figure out. Uh,
You can come back to it.
sure, yeah. It's
Don't let
like
it
I
sit.
think right now I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm like mature enough or like detached enough to not really be super triggered by people. Um, but maybe I'm just not remembering entirely the recent events, but I haven't been like triggered like that in a while, so I may have to pull back from previous um, experiences. Um,
So what would you do if like money was no longer an option?
um, Not necessarily too materialistic, but I would have a place to live or buy some property. I would um I would buy a lot of instruments. Like I would do that. Let's see. For some reason, I if I that were to happen and I had more money than others or something, assuming that money is still operating in the same way that it is now, I would help out family. Um, I would hmm. I'm not very materialistic, so it's like not much would change. It's just those probably things like buy property. Um, so I would probably spend not that much, I guess. But it would definitely open up various possibilities for me, like being able to uh, like adopt kids or have kids of my own or whatever, like not necessarily have to wait until it's the proper time, I guess. Do things like that. That's a possibility, assuming I wanted kids or something. Um, so things like that. It's kind of hard because I'm not that materialistic, but that would change things.
Mhm.
I
So
would definitely travel more probably too, like go visit places, live there for a bit
Can I ask you,
and
what's your end goal?
go. Well, I want to reach a point to where um, I have things set up in life, career-wise, where I don't have to worry about money and things aren't necessarily an issue. And also what I'm doing would be something that's worthwhile and fulfilling to me. So that's the end goal. But also like the stuff that I have been pursuing are things that aren't necessarily taking that into account. So because I can just sit there and just like read about things or acquire knowledge and not necessarily knowing how to like turn that knowledge into like um revenue or have a way of monetizing it. It's just like that's an issue, I guess, for me. So like with music, like I've historically been kind of self-employed as like a teacher for guitar and piano. So it's like, but it's but I have all this knowledge about like composition because I also write my own music. It's like all those things and like many years of playing the instrument. It's like it's hard for me to figure out ways to monetize it, I guess. But so but what I said previously is mostly like the end goal, I would say.
How do you feel about people cheating and deception?
I feel about people cheating
Yeah,
and what just in general, I guess.
yeah. Or relationships or
Oh,
whatever.
in relationships, yes, definitely. It would be disappointing, I would say. Um, but if I got a lot of other indications of their behavior that they didn't really love me or something, additional indications that they didn't really love me, then I'd be like, I should probably leave or something. But I'm probably too committed for my own good sometimes, I think. So, um, but yeah, it would be disappointing, and I would consider, is this the right relationship for me? Um, but cheating elsewhere, like if it was I was playing a board game with family and they were cheating, I would probably think that's funny. Because it's like nothing's at stake and they're just like they don't want to lose. If it was genuine. Me, I've had instances where I would cheat as a joke, but like like in Uno or something, like I would just drop cards if I had like 20 or something
Dude,
on the floor.
this is hilarious because this goes back to like a story. When I was like a kid, and we would play Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And
Yeah.
I used to win so many tournaments because I would just draw extra cards and nobody would catch me, right? And the first time I played against Christian, I tried the same strategy. Christian goes, "Wait, what the fuck? How you got so many cards in your fucking hand?" And he's like, "Bro, you fucking cheat." And then, it's so funny, but that shit worked on literally. I was winning tournaments. I'm that person that you described that is gonna cheat to win. I'm so
Oh,
serious.
okay, yeah, I get it.
Like
Kind
I
of like
like winning is the most important thing. Sometimes you got to do some dirty shit, you know.
I kind of think about like Kobe. Like I remember you typed in INTJ, but like
Yeah.
weren't there instances where people were like, "Oh, is he doing something shady here?" Like, but I guess that's sort of debatable. But
Well,
like, I
I mean,
guess
it is
that
shady.
not wanting to lose
So
thing, huh?
a lot of things what he did was like he would have somebody come or like he would train with them. But the reason why
Yeah.
he's training with you is to get you a year from now in the NBA finals or a year from now in the playoffs. And he's finding all the mechanics that you do, how you do it, why you do it, so he can stop you when it counts. That's what I call genius. Okay,
Hmm.
that's what I call genius. Okay, I mean I wouldn't say that's cheating. I just found that
There,
sometimes you gotta
I was mostly thinking about I've seen clips where he would be on defense and the person was going for a jump shot and he would kind of put his legs underneath the area where they would fall. And they thought he was doing that intentionally. So like
people do that because if you do that you can make them roll the ankle. If they roll their ankle,
right, yeah.
they're out.
Right.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like by any means necessary. That'd be a pragmatic move.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
how it was back in the day in NBA, right? Like it was pretty like people some kind of times do pretty shady stuff at times. I don't know.
Yeah, I should be. I'm telling you straight up. If you had to compete against me, just know the rules indefinitely because I'm gonna stretch them as far as I can. And if they're not like finite and can be stretched or in gray zone, you're gonna be in trouble.
Mm, yeah.
Um, so
Mm.
what hmm what brings you to typology in general? That's interesting. Let's see
I've
here.
always thought it was interesting. Let's say probably like 10 years ago, wait, even further, like I typed into personality tests in Google and uh, I saw the old school like human metrics tests. And then I kind of took those other tests. I thought it was interesting and I just kept reading from there. And I started watching YouTube videos about cognitive functions and stuff. It was always like in the background of what else I was doing at the time. So uh I just thought it was interesting, like to be able to, um, if it was possible at the time, like to have sort of these personality types and have a way of sort of describing who I was or my cognition. Or so and then moving to sort of when COVID happened, I started to sort of be more on like Discord or online communities of typology. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, I would say. Did you ask something else in that question? Or was it
Let me
mostly that?
remember. Shelly, got anything?
What do you think your best attributes are, or what separates you from other people as Mercer? Or is it?
Um, hmm. I would say my open-mindedness, but also, like I said previously, in excess, that could be a negative at times. Um, um, I guess my curiosity, um, um, I guess how sort of dedicated or committed I am, especially with like the things I'm interested in. Like I do tend to get very interested in something and sort of kind of obsess about it, but like it's more about trying to understand deeply the essence of what this thing is about. So there's that. Um, a lot of these things are kind of things like people have kind of told me, like people would say I'm helpful, especially with like um, emotional awareness. I help them with issues like that. They say I give insights on that front. So um, that's kind of the main things I would say. There's definitely more, but like it's something I don't think about too much because but yeah, that's probably it, I guess. I would say also I don't know. Sometimes I can be really hardworking, other times I'm just like neglectful. It's like it's not good. So um but yeah.
So, what are the three biggest things wrong with humanity, in your opinion?
Okay. Uh biggest three things wrong with humanity, I would say, is deficiencies in compassion overall. Um, and I would say the reason behind that probably is, well, no, actually, probably go to the next one. They're all kind of interrelated. Um, quickness to believe also something like I think that's an issue. Um, and I also probably think apathy. I may not have said that before, but like I think especially when society is getting a bit less perhaps spiritual and less perhaps fueled by religious ideas, with that comes, and not to say that that religious or spiritual perspective is immediately produces um, some sort of objective meaning for humanity, but I do think without that, people have issue considering life as being meaningful. It's very easy for people to assume things are meaningless. And when you assume things are meaningless, your ability to have a value, really anything, is limited. And you're going to be like, why should I be compassionate? All this is kind of meaningless. Why should I believe in anything? Why should I even inquire about understanding what the truth even may be? Because if it's meaningless, then truth is just going to be something that is brought forth from our own perspective, like sort of a brings to light sort of Kantian ideas of like humans being imprisoned to like the phenomenal world and not necessarily seeing the noumenal, like not necessarily seeing what the essence of something actually is. Always going to be there's going to be that barrier of understanding, sort of feedback loop of subjectivity. So with that, that creates a lot of issues, I would say. But those are the three, I would say. It's sort of an ongoing thing. I think the more people are are more of a positive change, I think that also helps too. Um, but if one were to have a nihilistic perspective, like it's not positive, it's just meaningless, you know. So, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I definitely do sympathize with that point of view because I've been there. So, yeah.
Give me 1 second. Should you anything?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something else to ask her. Oops. Would have a intriguing answer. Um, I guess just what if you had three wishes, what would they be?
Oh, she already asked that.
What? That, are you sure that wasn't the last person? Did I write it somewhere else?
Fuck that. All right, we're done. I'm not even gonna
Already?
let you
Yeah,
ask
that would be
for
a
that.
different, that would
All
be a
right, I
hard
ain't even gonna
one.
let you ask that because
Already?
that will be forever. Okay, we're done. We're done. Okay, Kyra, are you ready?
Oh,
This is not.
gosh,
Are you ready?
I
So it's
guess
very easy
so.
to say that you're very informative. Okay, that's your communication style. Um, it's very easy to see you abstract. Okay, you're talking about magnetic, uh, transducing energy, uh, how an asteroid or something with the planet, um, playing with hypothetical ideas, all of that nature. So we got you for informative and abstract. That's gonna make you an NP. We were able to see a lot of NE. I can interpret things multiple ways in E. Um, Open-mindedness in E. The process of piecing things together. Ooh, systematic and process there. Um, mm, Also, you talked from a mastery core need when you were talking about the competence of other people doing music, and how like they weren't on a certain competence level, you couldn't really respect that. That comes from a core need of competence and knowledge and mastery, which is a core need of an NE. Okay, talked about your own biases, so you're aware of them. So it's like TI, you're a big TI, big TI. Huge on theories and have to sift through the data. You're sifting through the data with your TI there. School prioritize memorization over understanding. You have a problem with that because um, you want to understand things. That's a TI perspective. Again, um, you talked about pulling things from your previous experiences. That's SI. You're initiating a lot. We have you as an ENTP.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I've had people think I could be that,
Yeah.
but
I
I
just checked
guess,
your Discord. I checked your Discord, and you got INTP. But dude, I asked you a straight up question, straight up to your face. I was like, "What's your end goal?" You dropped the bag on that straight up. It was like straight up process,
mm,
100% process. You're like, "Well, I really
really.
don't have an end goal." If you don't have an end goal, what does that mean? Someone's process oriented, someone's journey focused, someone is journey, and then you even talked about oh well, I learned these things and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to market or not or anything. It's because you're on the journey. Like the journey is the most important thing to you and not the destination.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's
that
like just
would disqualify
well,
you from being an INTP. They are extremely outcome focused. Extremely outcome focused. Like they don't get out. They like everything has to be linked to some type of outcome with them.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're just like, I'll figure it out as I go.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's all good, man. I mean, we get a lot of people that come on here a lot of times. But the thing is, and then a lot of times, if you go back, we will post it. If you go back, you can just see yourself just talking, 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 talking. And we were just
yeah.
sitting here because I knew, and that's the reason I took a lot of notes on you
I don't
because
know.
I
I ain't
knew I was gonna need that
can talk, but like definitely your NE is like way
way too
above
high.
his.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
is all
I
yeah, just like information dump on you, where you're like I don't know, just reaching out and like I don't know,
And like you can kind
connecting
of like you can
and
see the
it's very
differences.
abstract.
You can see the differences in an ENTP and an INTP, right? Because to an INTP, TI is God. To an
mhm.
ENTP, NE is God, right? And you can see how like it could be this, it could be that. Oh, like like your big focus is on that. It's like multitude of things and how you can see it in the perspectives of things, right? Whereas in TI is that's their number one thing there. That's what they serve.
But I also want to present a possibility. I'm not trying to say you're
No,
wrong or anything, but like,
mm,
what if it was is the case that
any
like, yeah, true. What if it's the case like an INTP was still in the process of piecing together all of their perceptions, and if they haven't exactly clicked in their mind yet, would that INTP still be like, it could be this, it could be that? So it's like, at that point, it's like because I'm still kind of
piecing things together. Process
right.
again,
But I guess
learning
what you're probably saying
again.
is that the INTP would come from a point of being more certain of their judgments about like
Yeah,
what
more
something
certain of
is.
that outcome.
So yeah.
They're gonna be homing in on that outcome. Like I think personally, this is me, but I think they're probably the most outcome driven.
Okay.
If you can get those little motherfuckers going, they're like sometimes I'm sitting because like I date an INTP. She comes over and I'm just like, holy shit, this motherfucker is outcome driven and systematic to the T. Like everything is like I'm like, holy shit, like damn. Like it kind
Hmm.
of blows me crazy because it's like everything is entwined with the outcome. And like if that outcome is in jeopardy, like abort the mission.
Hmm.
Like it's very important to them to get that outcome.
Yeah. I kind of get like that too, like especially if I'm like writing something and I have to have it be as clear as possible. Like when I'm especially in like text or something, I tend to do that. When I'm speaking though, I do tend to like just sort of piece it together as I'm going, if especially if it's
Oh.
something I haven't necessarily um, thought at length about.
Well,
But
it's a difference of like life. Like it's a difference of perception of a life, right? Because your life is a journey, right? Their life is not a journey, right? That's like they're like boom, boom, I gotta get this outcome. Boom, boom. Like you're like, oh, I'll learn this skill and maybe I'll use it 5 years from now, maybe I'll use it 10 years from now, but I'm gonna learn this skill. Well, I'm gonna do this, and it doesn't matter if I get monetary need. Maybe later on down the road I'll get something. So it's more of a journey focused mindset to that.
mhm.
Fortunately,
Hmm,
yeah.
I see.
I
So
knew when you came in here. I bet shit. You remember when I was talking shit? I said
yeah.
ENTP, and I was Shelly. Where you going? Oh well, whatever, Shelly. But yeah. Um,
What?
Unfortunately, Shelly was like, "God damn it, Mercer's right." You remember when I said like I was doing basketball like in the video somewhere in here.
Hmm.
But I mean, you're a pretty cool person, man. I mean,
Thanks.
pretty
I think you're cool
interesting
too.
that
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I would just laugh at the person who cheated. I'm like, that's fucking me. That's fucking me. I'm the fucking cheater. I'm gonna fucking make sure I win. I don't give a shit. Try to stop me from winning, goddamn it.
It's like when something's like that, I like respect it. Like if someone like owns like something that's just kind of funny. Like especially if they like, I guess, own that they dislike a person or something. Like it's kind of funny. It's just so blatant. Like
I'm just possessed for winning. I don't know, like
okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Maybe it's like some like trauma or something when like I was younger or something. But I am like possessed on winning. Like that is like the ultimate thing for me. It just like if we not winning, like I start like going like I become a different person. Like I become like I can chit chat and like hang out and do whatever as long
Hmm.
as we're fucking winning. But if we're not fucking winning, my mood changes. I become like a tyrant. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. I don't want to hear nobody talking, nothing. It's like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. Like, we're not winning. We should be happy. But as long as we're winning, as long as I'm winning, it's like I'm in equilibrium with myself. I can joke,
Mm.
I can have a good time. It's crazy.
Does that also extend to basically everything like in life
Everything.
for you? Okay.
Everything.
Mm.
It's like even like I like find a but the thing is about like the small like competition and thing, it just makes me better. It just like I just find a way to like be competitive. Like, even before this, I was like, Shelly, let's fucking bet and don't look, that's just me just being competitive. But some people are like you can't do that or whatever. Just me being competitive. I just love it. It just makes things so much funner. If I would just sit here and bored of, it's like what? That's not even fun.
Hmm.
Gotta be some risk in the game a little bit. I enjoy it. You got any questions?
Yeah, I just know like some people like I guess people who are like who are type D NTP or something. Like I remember, I don't know if you know Dream World. I don't know if you know him by another name. He
Um,
said you typed him. Like I don't. He's in the server, but like he may have used another name though.
Dreamer.
Like he said I was INTP because he would present something and I would be critiquing that or something. It's
I'm
like
a BTI parent. TI
yeah, I
parent,
was like. I
parents
mean,
of
at the
TI.
time, I thought I was INTP, so I was like, okay, yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, it's parent like people. I think a lot of people because they come from like the C S Joseph thing. But the thing
Right.
about the parent is that it wants to parent other people. It's like that obnoxious thing that's like, let me guide you, let me help you, let me nurture you. So like you're lending your TI to parent other people. Like, oh, this is an inconsistency here. You might want to fix that. A lot
Hmm.
of people can become annoyed because like a lot of times you feel like you always have to do this or you always have to help people with it. That's from John Beaver's eight function model. Uh,
Right, right, yeah.
like for instance,
Okay.
I sent a PowerPoint to Dario Nardi, and before you know it, his TE pen was like, "Yo, let me fix up a couple things." He wanted to fix up some things and put some TE on there. He's parenting
Hmm.
me with his TE, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And like, let's say Christian, I had like did a thumbnail, and he's trying to parent me with SE to make it better. Oh, make it a little bit bigger, but that kind of annoys me because it's like shut the fuck up. Like I don't know, like Dario's didn't really annoy me, but his did. It made me like want to like smack him. Like get the fuck out of here, SE parent. But
Yeah. So I do wonder about the subtypes. If I were to guess, it might be normalizing, could be harmonizing. Because wouldn't that mean if TI is more analytic, but NE is more holistic, wouldn't that mean normalizing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I this is my idea, but I think normalizing is actually the most intelligent of the four subtypes. Unfortunately, this is what I've noticed. They seem to be more analytical. They seem to be able to get things done. They seem to be able to like coexist, exist in society well. As you get the creative, and like a lot of people make the mistake. Like I was getting on somebody in a Discord today, and they were like, "I'm a harmonizer INFP," and I was like, first of all, they said somebody else said she was a harmonizer INFP, and I said, first of all, you have to compare yourself to other INFPs. You can't compare yourself to the other 16 personality types because INFPs are going to be harmonized compared to other personality types. But compare yourself to 100 INFPs, where do you belong?
Right. Yeah.
Like so, like you would compare yourself to 100 ENTPs. Do you think you're more creative than most ENTPs? Do you think you're more dominant than most ENTPs, or do you think you're more empathetic than most ENTPs? That's
Well,
how.
the thing with that is like what I've seen is like creative kind of is kind of correlated with like what you think of as uh general creativity.
Mm-hmm.
But like the description of like the any analytic, like you're like proposing things, ideas to other people to get them to like, I don't know, to like um go that route or something.
Like when
For
I.
me, I would say it kind of seems a bit more like open. Like I'm not as pushy about like the possibilities to
Mm-hmm.
people. But I would say that I am creative
Well,
and
you're
kind of
in music.
like
You're in music.
yeah, and I'm not necessarily like
Oh yeah.
good at even like monetizing that. So maybe that could be an instance of creative, but it's like with the TI analytic description, I do kind of relate with that where I'm like I do tend to be a bit stubborn on like the principles and like applying those and try to find a singular way of explaining things. And if someone kind of gets those wrong, like I'm inclined to be like, tell them or be like, you're wrong. Like just flat out say it.
So
So
what I was saying is like you gotta not look at are you creative or not, right? Because your personality type overall isn't a creative personality type. Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You have to
that's what I
look
was saying. I was
you have to
like,
look at it from a perspective of how would I rate myself amongst 100 ENTPs? Not how would I rate myself because I'm an ENTP. Because you being an ENTP, you're creative. You're way more creative than I am. Way more creative, you know. You're way more creative than Shelly. But the thing about like me and Shelly is we have very dominant personalities. But if I was to compare Shelly to other dominant people, she probably wouldn't feel as dominant. You get what I'm saying? Like because
yeah.
there's some like super dominant INTJs out there. They're just like Kobe Bryant is a super dominant INTJ. She's gonna be like, oh shit, like this motherfucker crazy. So you gotta compare yourself to other people of your same type, and then you see like, okay, well, based off this, I would kind of like I would put C.S. Joseph in the creative ENTP. Okay. He has to continue to try
Yeah.
something new all the time. It has to be
Yeah.
something new, something new, something new he's putting out. Even if the shit's incorrect, he got to put out something new. That's something create like that's a creative ENTP. Can't keep a job, whatever. That's a creative one. But you seem to be more like can
Sane and level headed.
huh?
Sane and level headed.
Level-headed. You seem to be more um analytical to me. I would say you seem to be more normal. Just normal overall. I would say like you're more approachable, like if I had to think about like where I would see you at, like it's like you seem a lot more like normal. Like you could
Okay.
Still
be
extremely interesting, but yeah, like just like
yes. Way more interested in us. I
Oh
mean,
no, I'm not like offended. Like, I mean, I'm usually thinking people think I'm weird. So when people just say normal, even though you're not saying I'm normal, you're just among the subtypes, like
amongst the
more,
other, if you're amongst the
yeah.
other ENTPs, if we had 100 of them, I would probably say you're most of the normal.
Mm,
Like, because you could have the
yeah.
ones that's like Andrew Tate who are freaking super dominant, crazy. Okay. Then you can have like Kanye West who is a creative one. Okay. When he starts talking, it's like the man's I mean, on creative things, he's a genius. When he starts talking, I think he's a monkey. But that's just me. Then you have like other type of ENTPs like Andrew Schultz or whatever. I would say he's a normalizer. Even though he does comedy, he seems to be very normal. He's not like
Yeah,
extreme
I'm
Kanye
not too
West.
aware of him, but have heard the name though. Andrew Schultz. I never
He's like a
really.
comedian. He's a comedian. But
Okay.
like you see like maybe Leonardo DiCaprio or something. He'd be more normalizing. You know, he can blend in pretty well with the normal crowd. He ain't doing nothing crazy. Like it's nothing like out of the ordinary. Because the creative ENTP can be wild, buck wild, buck wild. I mean, Kanye losing $2 billion in 2 weeks. I mean, it's crazy. Just because he wants to talk
He
about.
lost 2 billion. That has to be.
Well, I mean, he talked about the Jewish people. You
Well,
know.
yeah, I didn't know it was that much though. Like, good
Yeah, he lost a
Lord.
lot of money. Lost the deal with Adidas.
What is he like slumming it now, like in the projects? Like, I mean,
Nah,
it's
he's
probably not
actually
that
built it
bad.
back. He's actually built quite a bit back. I mean, you know how it is a process with him. Like, he lost his money there, but he was able to. I feel like he was able to make something out of nothing, and then it like went over to like the Gap and all. It's just that guy. You just you just let him do his thing, and whatever the fuck he comes up with, man. And it usually does him good in the long term, but in the short term, it hurts him pretty bad. If he learned to shut
Right.
his mouth and like actually like stop trying to project onto other people so much, he'd do a lot better in life.
Yeah.
I don't think he realizes like the stuff that he does, like his kids are gonna have to pay for that. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
realize him acting crazy and doing what he does, his children are gonna have to shoulder that burden. And he has four of those kids. So yeah,
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I see how things develop with that, I guess.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, let us know. I mean, I have Shelly, you got anything you want to say?
No, no.
Shelly the mute.
oh, I'm curious if oh wait.
Oh,
Oh,
go
I'm
go
not muted.
go.
Uh oh, what did you think I was, Shelley, at the start? You say you wrote something down.
She was scared.
I would have went with the introverted version, but that's just like, I mean,
Oh, okay.
I'm visually typing. I mean, not
So you
really.
thought like INTP or something?
Yeah, but I mean, your
Okay.
NE is like so. I'm dating an INTP, and it's like just the way you talk. I don't know versus him. Like his is like all you hear coming out of him like 90% of the time is like TI. I mean, once you get to know, I guess. Even when I first started getting to know him, but where you're like, I don't know, really any heavy. So I mean, just very
Mm-hmm.
focused on like having a lot of experiences and like learning a lot of things. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities, and I think a lot of ENTPs like feel like they're introverted. Maybe that's, but
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think that's really a
I
self.
think they find themselves introverted because they feel like they're so weird. But
Yeah,
I'm so like I don't know. For me, like I go out a lot, right? And I don't know if Shelly goes out a lot, but I go out a lot. Like let's say on the weekends, and
no, I
like I
think I'm
Yeah.
go to like
like
an arcade
very
bar. I go to like an
Mm-hmm.
arcade bar, so like I'm around a lot of intuitives. So like as soon as you walked in here, I'm like bingo, bingo. That's an ENTP. Like I
and
knew
I'm like
like
really bad.
the way
I'm
your
really bad
mechanics, like the way
at
you
detail.
move,
I
I already
mean,
knew like bingo, bingo, ENTP. Bingo, bingo. Like you gotta be careful when you're trying to corner that girl because she'll run off. Oh, it's kind of funny, but
That's funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
just
Yeah, like I can stay in a lot and just sort of just do stuff or entertain things or mingle
so
on Discord. But it is cool like going out like and doing things like that.
so
So
how,
that's a different type of like um stimulation there. That's pretty interesting.
so how do you
Um
feel in like social situations with strangers?
um Before I feel really uncomfortable because I don't really know how to either approach or like what I just say first, or if they're going to say something to me. If someone says something to me, then it's really easy for me. But going up to them and like, I guess, initiating a conversation, it's a bit difficult, I would say. But once it gets going, it's like,
can't
it
shut
gets
the
pretty
fuck up.
easy. It's like, okay, yeah, I can
Yeah,
just do this. I can throw stupid ideas out there, and as long as like my intention underneath is like to introduce humor, usually people are pretty receptive to that. If I introduce a joke and I'm feeling a lot of like hesitation, they're gonna pick up on that too, and it's gonna be weird probably. Sometimes I even if I feel good about it, it's gonna be weird either way, and I sometimes laugh at that weirdness in real time when it happens. So it's like which is probably not good, but I usually tell them like, oh, I just thought that's funny. So overall, I would say starting it really hard for me, but once it gets going, it's like it gets easier, I guess.
So,
So
so what about it is uncomfortable? Just out of
which part?
curiosity?
The initiating part?
Or just like the whole situation being in a social
Sure.
environment with strangers. Like, what is it that makes you feel uncomfortable? Do you think?
Um, hmm. I guess like the uncertainty of how what what they're thinking or judging or feeling about me. Like those things are usually like I'm not necessarily sure. I'm trying to give off a good a good impression for them, I guess. Um, kind of trying to do that, but at the same time, it's like can't really control too much what people's perceptions are going to be about you. So that usually helps me. But I would say yeah, it's kind of like that overall. And then the more I think about it, sometimes it just keeps processing in my head. I'm just like, sometimes I may get overwhelmed. I need to just sit alone. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think ENTP women are very interesting. As a person, I feel like, hmm, talking to them, you never really know where you stand, right?
Hmm.
You like, I could walk away feeling like that was like a great conversation, and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah, that's kind of how I sometimes operate. I'm like, I can like them, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I'm like, I don't get back to people, and it's just like they may think they're like, they just don't know, like what you said, like
You
where
never
they
know your
stand.
fucking stand, dude. You never fucking know where you stand. It drives me up the fucking wall. I'm like, oh man, this shit went great, blah blah. You never like you get no response back or whatever. And I'm like, this motherfucker, goddamn ENTP, or like just in general, it's um, like a lot of people don't apply the stuff that goes on, but I actually go out and I apply it. And I noticed like if you're dealing with an ENTP, you got to make sure that you leave everything open. You have to leave everything open. You can't really cut off too many X's or anything like that. And they gotta feel like they gotta exit to get out of here, right?
Mm.
And being an NI user and a strong one, I tend to cut off X's because I'm so direct and I'm so like focused on them, and that makes them nervous as fuck, and they're out of here.
Mm.
They're like out of here. And then like Kyle's like, bro, you gotta be more open. And he's like, you need to park your ass sideways. He's like, you can't just be like this, bro. It's like, bro, you look like Ted Bundy. You know, it's like,
Oh
and it's
gosh.
like, he's like, you
So
like
it's
fucking Ted
like,
Bundy.
in what way are you like closing off options? Is it like
It's like because
you're,
when I'm like talking to somebody, I'm like front forward, like looking at you, like I'm like close, like looking like straight through you.
Mhm.
And Kyle's like, bro, you can't do that. And I'm like, damn, like every ENTP chick is like, out the fuck out of here. And I'm like, bro, that shit do not work. He's like, duh, you dumb motherfucker. You got to give us options. You got to leave it open. I'm like, oh shit. He's like, maybe if you like turn sideways when you're talking to them, that makes them feel like they can get out of here or whatever. If you just like, your body language is so focused. It's like your body language matches your eyes and it's so focused. And that is
Mhm.
scary on people. Oh shit.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm trying to think what the right approach would be. Like, like it's almost like you have to wait for the ENTP woman to like say
Yeah.
something to you or something.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like you just gotta leave everything open and not
Mm.
like it's just you gotta let them come to you, but you gotta leave everything open. You can start at something, but you can't be like too pushy or forcey or anything like that. That's a no. I've learned that shit. That's a slap out no with them. Um, but I mean, over time I've gotten a lot better with it. Like
Okay.
now I'm like, oh shit, like it's like starting to ramp up more for me. Like if I'm going out and I talk to an ENTP girl, like it goes pretty well for me now. But when I first started, it was like some people say, oh, you're an NI user and they're gonna love your NE. Mother boy, please. Boy, fucking please. and be fucking
Yeah.
out of here. You gotta leave. Like people like people who are very similar to them because it's like a projection type thing. Like if me and
Hmm.
Shelly was talking, we would square each other up and we'd be looking dead at each other and we'd be talking to each other and there'd be no problems. But when you're dealing with like any users, like they need options. They need to feel like they can get
Hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's a difference of like mindset and functions and stuff like that. So if you
Yeah.
see somebody squaring up their body language with you in the future, you're like, oh, this motherfucker is an NI user. Let me not feel nervous and run out of here.
Yeah. That's what I kind of thought when I saw Dion in the server and other perhaps ENTPs or NTJs. I think like well, I notice a difference. Like they seem very good at like establishing what their boundaries are, especially just like generally, like, hey, you're not going to do this to me or something like
Yeah.
that, or things like that. With like perhaps NTPs, it's just like they don't do that. It's just like they can be just uh of course like ENTPs are a bit more like, hey, they're resistant to that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah. Me and
But
Dion go at it all the time. It's hilarious.
yeah, it's like they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I cut out people out of my life all the time." It's like, but it's like if you can just probably message an ENTP or NTP about something, and you had a previous argument, they'll probably respond to you, or if they're busy with other things, they probably forget. But yeah.
I think this is just me, but I figured out the best way to talk to ENTP women is to get them interested in you. Okay, you can't do that by having like status, power, money, like whatever. It's like something with an idea. You have to get them interested in you from an idea perspective. It's not from like a status or like a money or whatever. That's the NTJs. NTJ women are fucking easy for me because it's like that's me. Like I am status, power, like ambition. That's it. But ENTP women, you gotta have some type of like you gotta have some type of idea or something of that nature that like
Right.
sparks their curiosity. Because if you don't spark the curiosity, nah, it's not happening.
Hmm. Yeah.
You got to get them interested in you in some way. And I don't know how it happened. It may not happen for you. You know, as a dude, you gotta be okay. It may not happen for you. It's rough.
Mm.
Definitely, like if I had to rate like hardness, they're probably on the top of the tier for hardness.
Mm.
That's just
So would you say like it's easy to sort of get affiliated or romantically involved with an NTJ,
yes, very
but
easy.
like would you say that relationship is a bit more shallow, but or is it deep still? Like
Uh,
contrasting the difficulty of getting or starting a relationship with an NTP, but that probably being deeper. Like is that a thing or
I think when it comes to NTJs or whatnot, we speak the same language, right? We speak the same language and see the world from the same place. So a lot of times when we're talking, we don't step like there's like a lot of things that you don't want to step on. One being the critic function, because if you step on the critic function, you're gonna get a default bad response from that person. And INTJ, if you step on their TI critic, they might call you a dumb motherfucker or you stupid motherfucker that don't make no sense. Okay, so like a lot of times, like you got to avoid that. And as like like a T user yourself or a strong one, you kind of talk the same language. Okay. So it's easier for you to see things from their perspective. And then like on top of that, they may like that you have like a lot of ambition or whatnot. Or what like that might be something that they're into. So for me, it seems to be very easy for me to communicate and get like if I'm going out or something, it seems to be very easy for me to hit it off easily with them. But with the ENTP, it's a lot harder. INTP, I really don't even go for, to be honest, because like I hate to be like really mean or anything, but they don't really do like the dressing up part and looking nice. And unfortunately, like as a guy, like you have to be like we have to be attracted to you, you know what I'm saying? And
mm,
like being like somebody who like puts on nice stuff and do things like that's a big thing. And you know, they kind of struggle with that. So, but for the ENTP, is like it's like I said, you can't use it's like I can't use what I'm usually naturally good at. Like,
mm,
you know, it's like I gotta like spark an idea in them to make them feel interested in me. So it's not as easy as just being like, oh, you know, I did this at work, or I did this at work, or I'm doing this, or I've done this. Like that's not really gonna be. that entertaining to them. It's like, okay, cool, dude. Like
Hmm.
that shit's incorrect. Like at the interview, like, okay, cool. That's not even interested. Or that's so shallow. Or that's so like, you know,
Hmm.
as opposed to us, like Shelly says, "Oh, I just did this business and I started this business. And I did that." I'm like, "Oh man, that's so cool! Like how'd you do that?" And then she's like, "Oh, I did this and this." I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm kind of thinking about doing the same thing." And boom.
I mean, for me, like I find that stuff impressive, like starting businesses and like getting good at that because it's not necessarily something that I can do. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like yeah, so with that, but yeah, like with the material things, like if someone was
I think
like
we
if like someone was really high status, like walked into like my neighborhood or something and went to the house, I wouldn't treat them any differently than I would another person. I would just be like, oh, hello.
well, I think a person.
I know who you are, but I'm not going to be like, completely like off the deep end about it.
Let me
So,
go back to my paper here. I would probably do a lot better talking here if we were talking about magneticism
well, it was
or
cybernetic sort of feedback sort
or
of thing. That's what I
traducing
was,
transducing
yeah.
energy. I'd probably do a lot better with you talking about those two things. See, that's how I would spark interest in an ENTP. Okay, that's the type of shit you have to be talking about. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, that's gonna be way better. That's gonna stick a lot better. But
Yeah.
hey, that's just what I've noticed from my experiences. And I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, I think that works in with INTPs too. I mean, that was
yeah,
like why I started talking to because we had very similar interests in like psychology and like I don't know things in our
Right.
past that were similar. So it made it really easy to communicate and still like I don't know, just like talking about crazy stuff is interesting. So we're up like all night long talking. So,
yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh. So would you say, Mercer, that you need to do that as well with an INTP? Like
Oh, I
talk
love
about ideas of stuff? Or
I
is there a
love
difference?
I love like I can like sometimes it's bad. I come home like sometimes I come back drunk and like my INTP, like I'll just like wake her up and I'll just start talking about fucking any abstract thing I want to, and she'll just get up and answer it the best she can. And I just like love that I can like talk to somebody about ideas at like 3 o'clock in the morning and they don't give a fuck about like anything. She might say, oh, I'm tired or something, but then she'll be like talking nonstop because as soon as like I interest that TI, then she's got to come back and then parent me with some choices or something. But it's very very interesting, and it's like you can't really do that to a lot of people. Like talk to them about ideas like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're gonna cuss you the fuck out.
Hmm.
I mean, I would probably cuss about just because like I am just like I ain't gonna lie, I'm a fucking diva. I am a diva. I am 100% a fucking diva. I won't even lie, like I am a diva. Like, you might as well give me my little princess hat. Like I am something else. Um,
That's funny. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Kyra.
Yeah,
Shelly,
it's
you got
been
anything you
cool.
want to say? Shelly,
My my internet was trying to cut out again.
you got
Um,
anything you want to say?
I don't know. I just had like two
Shelly's a
calls.
bad Shelly's a bad supporter. She's not in the Discord. It's fucking horrible. I've been trying to force her over there, but she don't listen. I've already
Down
got
your
enough.
computer
And then
to
she
actually
complains I already got enough of her time. And then
don't.
don't
It's
text me back. And I see my messages
weird,
say,
and I don't like
just,
being timed down. That's
huh?
the problem. I said I can't use it on my phone. It won't work.
Okay.
So I have to get on my computer,
Oh, that's
and I
fine.
don't like being
You know, I'm
chained
just
down.
giving you shit. You know, I'm just giving you shit because I can. I'm just giving you shit. It's all good. Well, all right, Kyra.
Okay. All
Pleasure.
right.
Let me know if you
Sounds
have any questions anytime. My inbox is always open.
sure. All right. Thanks.
All right.